Welcome to Attenuation, a weekly podcast where two friends come together to drink beer, discuss beer styles and trends, and just generally ruminate on the meaning of life, aka beer. If you enjoy your time with us, we invite you to become a weekly listener and subscribe to the podcast. Without further ado, here is this week's episode.
Hello, and welcome to episode 47 of Attenuation, a beer podcast. My name is Jason, and I'm joined by my best friend since 8th grade, Steven.
Hello.
How are you doing, sir?
Awesome.
Yeah, you ready to drink some beer?
So ready.
So today we have an episode. It's going to be dedicated to lots of beer news and some interesting lawsuits.
Yeah. I was scouring the internet today for some fun old beer stories and beer news topics and stuff, and came up with a lot of fun stuff. The internet is a fun place.
There's a lot of data there.
Even did a little Wayback Machine today.
Nice.
Now that I've learned what that is.
Yeah, look at those old websites.
Yeah, it's really helpful.
All right, cool. Well, I look forward to the episode, but we got to do the best part of the podcast first, for us at least, and that's drinking beer. So,
my favorite part, for sure.
Yeah, it's my favorite part too. So generally, I'll introduce my beer, give some nose notes, and then I pass it to Steven to do the same before we drink our beers together, and then we'll give you the tasting notes. I have a blast from my past. Speaking of old beer stories, I have Marzen Amber Lager from Sudwerk Brewing in Davis, California. So historically, I loved this beer, like in my very early beer liking days. And I don't think I've had one since then. So I'm going to be interested to see if I still like this beer.
I think you're going to like it.
What if I just don't think it's cool anymore, Steve?
Yeah, maybe, but I feel like you're going to have more of an appreciation for it now.
That's true. So it's pouring a nice deep amber brown with a very active head. It's so malty. Yeah, and the head is sticking around. Looks like it might lace, it might not. It's very almost reddish brown, actually, now that it's all in the glass. And yeah, I'm just getting really strong malt, a little like caramel, some spice, a little bit of like a yeast smell as well. So I'll be interested to try this. What are you drinking today, Steven?
Awesome. Okay, well, I have a ridiculous beer. It's called It Meant Nothing from Anchorage Brewing. This is an IPA, 6.4%. It is brewed with Citra Incognito. What
does that mean?
That is a liquid hop extract.
Oh.
Yeah, you like buy it by the jug.
Okay.
It's fermented with omega yeast and cosmic punch yeast, which are apparently high thiol producing yeasts. It is also brewed with thiol boosting Phantasm powder.
Nice.
And then it has Nelson Sauvin and Mosaic cryo hops. Cryo hops are concentrated lupulin powder hop pellets. So it uses some sort of like liquid nitrogen cooling technique that like separates the lupulin powder from the vegetative material. So
this beer fancy.
Yeah. Should be super, super aromatic. So I pour it into the glass and see what happens. Well, I can smell it from quite a ways away.
Yeah.
Wow. A lot of orange, a lot of pineapple, maybe a little coconut too. It smells so tropical, like a tropical cocktail. Lemon, lime. This is crazy. There's a lot of smells coming off of this. It smells so good. Also a little bit of like dank resin.
Nice.
This is going to be really good, I think.
I can see you're excited to try it.
All right, cheers.
All right, cheers. Okay, I still really like this one. I think I appreciate it.
I knew you would.
Yeah. So it's really malty, but not really sweet malty, like toasted malty. And then you get the slightest window of citrus hops. And then it's kind of yeast and spice. And then the finish is, I didn't believe it at first, but I'm convinced. It's like black tea. Okay. And then I actually, which apparently is something that you will find in Marzen. You get a little black tea. So yeah, I like it. Thumbs up.
Nice. I'm all about an amber ale right now.
Yeah, this is the right time to drink them too.
Yeah. Now I kind of forget. Marzen is like an Oktoberfest beer.
I believe so.
Yeah, that's the beer they drink at Oktoberfest. So because they brew it in March, right? And then whatever's left in October.
Yeah, they drink it all up. Yeah. It's pretty awesome. How did you like your insanely complex concoction.
It's pretty interesting. So it's nice, kind of medium bodied. It's super oily, and that's probably a really weird descriptive word for a beer, but I've never had a beer that felt like my whole mouth was covered in hop oil inside, and it's like liquid hops, which makes sense because that's how they brewed it.
There's literally liquid hops in it, yeah.
Yeah, very floral, sort of white grape, melon, dank marijuana flavors, a little bit of citrus in there, kind of a citrus rind flavor, very little bitterness, kind of a dry finish, like with that oil, like those oils just sort of kind of dry out with the hop flavors lingering there. I don't know, it's super interesting. It's kind of unlike any beer I've ever had. Like I said, very oily. The hop flavors, like they come through differently because they're just so, it's like there's no vegetal hop to it. It's just very, very, I don't know. But it's like, it is sort of earthy and floral. It's interesting.
So the most important question, do you like it?
I don't think I would drink it again.
Oh no!
Yeah, it's a fun little experiment. But this is not something I would seek out again. I love the aroma boost though. Like as soon as you crack it open, because that's one of my favorite things anyway, is to smell the beer right away after pouring it out, and it's definitely boosted for sure. But
that's cool.
So I think I'm liking the Phantasm powder. I don't know if I'm liking the Citra Incognito stuff. It's liquid hops. Yeah, that
sounds interesting, but I think I might be in your camp too. I don't know what you're saying.
That's it.
Oh, well, you always got to explore. It's always good to explore new stuff, so even if you don't like it.
I had some amazing beers today, though, already.
What did you have today?
I drank a Weldworks. It was like a berry pie Berliner Weiss with like graham crackers and lactose, and I'm telling you, they're magic. They're magical there. It tasted like this amazing cheesecake. And I think like the lemony Berliner Weiss base came through with that like almost like a lemony cheesecake flavor, but with the berries, like the strong berry flavors going over that. It was amazing. And it wasn't like, it's not a smoothie sour, right? Like it's just a sour beer. And that's what I love about what they do at Weldworks is you get these like clear sour beers. I mean, they can be darker with like color, but they aren't like pureed fruit in them, but so they clarify them, but they get these amazing fruit flavors. So you feel like you're drinking a beer, and the Berliner Weiss base is like, it's there. So it feels like you're drinking a beer, you're not drinking juice, but the flavors they get are amazing. So I don't know. I think they're my number one brewery right now.
Weldworks?
Yeah. I mean,
and where are they again?
Colorado, Greeley, Colorado, sort of north Denver. They're awesome. Go. Yep, I gotta take you there.
Yeah, you've been, right?
Yeah, I've been.
I'm jealous.
They had a couple beers that had like macadamia nuts in them, like tropical sours with and just like the nutty flavors that they were able to get. I have one more beer from them in my fridge, and
nice.
I'm pretty excited. It's like a banana chocolate stout, peanut butter banana chocolate stout. Yeah,
that sounds amazing.
So so that one was good.
All right, cool. So next we usually do postscripts and beer news, but our main topic is going to be beer news. But I did my postscript homework today, Stephen.
Nice.
Now, last episode we did a deep dive into IPAs, and we started talking about some of the hoppier IPAs. And I swore that Optimum from Sierra Nevada used to be 100 IBU. But then I was doubting myself because it is no longer 100 IBU. So then I was thinking, was it ever 100 IBU? So I did a little research and I found, I think this is they put this on the side of their 6-pack. So this is very older. I don't know the date of this, but it says the ultimate whole cone hop experience. It says a group of hopheads challenged our beer camp brewers to push the extremes of whole cone hop brewing. The result is this: 100 IBU whole cone hurricane of flavor. So I was right. It did used to be 100 IBU, but
good knowledge.
They've toned it down in its modern incarnation, which kind of makes sense. I just don't think we're not really chasing the super IBU beers anymore. So
yeah, I mean, I think the fact that it's 75 still now is pretty high.
Yes, and the modern formulation is so good.
Yeah,
I think I tasted one on the podcast, but I can't remember. But Yeah,
Yeah,
I really
he
like
drank it on the podcast. Yeah,
Yeah, I really like the new version.
it's awesome.
But it used to be 100.
Just doesn't have to be 100 anymore.
Yeah, so now you know. So that's my postscript.
It's 11% though.
Yeah, it's still strong in other ways. Yeah.
It is no joke. Okay, well, I'll give the beer news, the official beer news that I got today, which is that of Brewers Association defined, independent craft beer, cans have reached the highest ever share of that packaged craft beer. It's now at like 63% or something of all packaged Brewers Association defined craft beer is now in cans.
Ah, the turning point has come.
Yeah.
This is it was kind of inevitable, huh?
I think so. I mean, there has been that transition, that shift away from bottles, and I know there's been some weird things with like can shortages and aluminum shortages lately, but yeah, the trend is to move towards cans. I like cans.
I do too.
I don't like drinking out of cans, but
I gotta pour it into a glass, but I find cans very convenient.
And the little plastic topper things that you can like snap them into.
I love those. I have my fridge is full of them. So then if I take beer to a friend's house, I'll just, you pick out an assortment and snap it into the carrier.
Yeah. Well, I've even like cut them into, like just a two.
Oh, I haven't thought
by
of
side.
doing that.
It still works.
That's a smart idea, Steven.
So that's pretty nice. I like, being able to kind of customize how many beers you have. And yeah, they just snap in and out. It's awesome. You can reuse them forever. Actually, I have like a huge stack right now. And my local beer shop, they have a couple huge refrigerators of singles. So you can just grab one of those if you want to just put up, like make your own 6-pack. So I need to take that big stack of those that I have and take them over there and just donate them. Say like, donate them to the pile.
You guys need these more than I do.
Yeah, I don't. I use a couple every once in a while. Like when I take beers to people at work, sometimes I'll make little packs of beer for people.
Little care packages, yeah.
Yeah.
You'd be lucky to receive one of those. I know
Very.
about you and your coworkers have a lot of good beer connections.
A lot of good beer trading going on. Well, let's see what else. You want to get into it?
Yeah, sure.
So we were going over these a little bit in the pre-roll, and there's some pretty good stories here. What do you want to start with?
I like the Budweiser one.
Okay, yeah, it is pretty good. So some of you may remember, I want to say it's like maybe last year's Super Bowl, or maybe the year before, but Bud Light was doing these ads, and it was like sort of this medieval time, this king, and the peasants were bringing in gifts for the king, and everyone's bringing him cases of Bud Light, and he's like happy to get the Bud Light, and they say dilly dilly when he get the Bud Light. And then of course there's the character that represents me.
Yes, the beer snob.
Who comes in and says like, oh, I have this barrel-aged mead that I made for you. And the king's like, send this guy to the pit of misery. So I would definitely be going to the pit of misery. But this brewery in Minneapolis called Modist, Modist, brewery, they brewed a beer, and they're pretty small, independent brewery. They brewed a beer called Dilly Dilly. And it was like a double IPA. They kind of had an idea that maybe they would hear from Bud Light that they might get shut down. What they didn't expect is that a man dressed in medieval garb would walk into the middle of the brewery, into the middle of the tap room, pull out this scroll, and in like old English speak, basically read a cease and desist letter from Bud Light. And
that's amazing.
It was just Budweiser trolling them. And basically saying, and it was like super friendly, just basically, we hope this is just a one-off. And it was like a town crier guy in the middle.
I love that they got someone to dress up with a scroll. It's so fun. Like, what a fun way to serve a season desist.
Oh, and then it said, like, it's something about, like, we humbly ask you to keep this to a limited edition, one-time run. This by order of the king. Disobedience will be met with additional scrolls, a a final warning, and then a private tour of the pit of misery.
The Pit of Misery, yes, they tied it back to the ad.
Yeah, it's
That's
so cool. It's so cool.
Oh, I told Steven that reminded me of. I was asking him if he knew the difference between Ferrari and Lamborghini, and he said,
And I said, no, I don't know.
Now I don't know if this is truly representative of the overall culture of those two companies, because this is just two anecdotal stories. But the first story has to do with Ferrari, and they're not very playful and fun, according to this story, because deadmau5, who's an electronic music artist, he had a Ferrari that he got wrapped. You know, you can like wrap cars with colors or like decals.
Yeah.
And he got it wrapped in a popular internet meme. It's called Nyan Cat. It was basically this like annoying tune and a cat that was like dancing on a rainbow. Anyways, he wrapped his Ferrari like that and called it like the per Ferrari, like per. He like rebadged it and all this stuff. And apparently they sent him like a cease and desist that said, you're like messing with the image of our company. You can't like rebadge and
like a rebrand.
Yeah, you're like rebranding.
Right, that's crazy.
It's like, dude, it's so lame.
Like you own the car. Why
Yeah, imagine buying
a
car and then they like tell you can't do whatever you want with it. I don't like that story. Anyways, meanwhile, Lamborghini. There's a guy online. His channel's really cool, but he's just a scientist, but he got into like 3D printing, and he's been working on cars for a long time. His son apparently asked him one day, like, "Oh, Dad, you're good at like cars and 3D printing. Do you think we could like make a Lamborghini?" And he's like, "I don't know. We could try." So, anyways, it's been taking him years, but he's obviously not using a Lamborghini engine. He's using like just a V8 engine. But he is like 3D printing all the body panels, so it looks exactly like I think a Huracan. And so, anyways, Lamborghini found out, and instead of like cease and desisting him, I guess they came out, and obviously they made it like a marketing thing. So there's like they turned it into like this cute YouTube video, but they showed up with the real Lamborghini, and they said, "We heard you were trying to make like a 3D printed version." And they're like, maybe you should borrow this one for a week to get all your measurements right. And so they let him borrow the real Lamborghini for a week, and then it's pretty awesome. So just Budweiser kind of reminded me of Lamborghini. Like, obviously, that brewery, just because they have a beer called that name from the Budweiser ad, it's not going to affect anything. Like, if anything, it's like better marketing. Like,
yeah, exactly.
It's almost like more marketing is better. It's like there's no such thing as bad. What do they say? There's no such thing as like bad press, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, especially if you look like a good guy, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like then play it off. Like, I mean, Bud Light did it. Like, it was in a funny way.
Yes.
It was essentially like, again, it was essentially a legal cease and desist letter that they were providing, and just basically saying, hey, okay, we'll let you do it this one time. Please don't do it again. And that was it. Nobody had to get sued. No, like, they aren't demanding licensing fees. So let me tell you a worse story is Knee Deep Brewing. They had a beer called Breaking Bud, and the imagery on the label kind of looked like they had a guy in like a hazmat suit kind of thing, like cooking meth, right? So it was, and the lettering kind of stole from the Breaking Bad logo. And what was interesting is that they released this beer in 2015, and they got a call from Sony. Sony reached out to them in 2015 when they released the beer, and they said, hey, it's really cool. Like, thanks for the tribute to our show. It's cool. We don't have an issue with it. When he got the call, when the owner got the call from Sony, he assumed that it was going to be a cease and desist, but it wasn't.
Yeah,
they were happy with it. They were fine with it. No problem. Well, then in 2018, all of a sudden out of nowhere, Sony sues them. And he's like, wait, in 2015, you said it was fine. The beer is now super successful. It was like their flagship beer, basically. And now Sony wants licensing fees. That's pretty messed up.
It's a feels bad story.
Yeah.
Because how big is Knee Deep?
I mean, it's pretty small.
And how big is Sony?
Yeah, it's for them to be demanding
really, guys?
Money. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty sad. There's interesting other ones like with, well, here's a feel good one, because we like the feel good stories.
Yeah, make up for that one.
was like, man, why are you telling the downer stories? Sorry. So there's a real good story about Russian River. So Vinny, the owner and head brewer at Russian River, he's gotten a reputation of just being the good guy, the craft beer good guy. Like, he's just nice. He gives back to his community. He's always looking out for his employees. He's just this like overall great, good guy. So he has a really good relationship with a lot of other breweries and brewers local to him. In fact, they even say sometimes he'll forget to order like a malt or a hop or something for a beer that he needs, and he'll just reach out to like Lagunitas or Bear Republic and ask for like to borrow stuff, and they're cool with it.
That's super cool.
So yeah, it's pretty awesome. But they brewed a beer called, they have their Shun series, right? Like consecration, sanctification. And he brewed a beer called Salvation. Unbeknownst to him at the same time, Avery Brewing, which I think is in Colorado, can't remember, but they brewed a beer called Salvation as well. And so they actually reached out to each other, and instead of litigating or suing each other or arguing about who could use the name, they actually decided to collaborate and combine the two beers into a collaboration beer that they would release yearly, and they called it Collaboration, not Litigation.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's really cool.
That was a feel-good story, Steve.
Another really cool story, this is like off topic from our lawsuits, but a really cool story about Vinny because I'm basically obsessed with him. What I didn't know is the Russian River Brewing at the very beginning was owned by Korbel. You know, the champagne company? I didn't know that.
Oh, I actually didn't know it was owned by... I didn't know it was Korbel. I know he didn't own it in the beginning.
Yeah, it was basically a huge champagne company that was trying to get into beer brewing.
Whoa.
And then they just kind of were like, meh, we're out. And they let him buy it from them. But
amazing.
Pretty cool, yeah. But back in the early days, he was brewing this beer called Hop to It, and it was a single hopped beer. So he was only using one hop at a time. Okay. And every batch he used a different hop. So each batch he brewed, he would use a different hop, but only that hop. And he credits that beer to being like what really taught him how to distinguish each hop, like the characteristics of each hop. And then like later on be able to like combine hops and know what they're going to taste like and that kind of stuff. So
that's really cool. Isolation. We talked about that many times. That's when you were in your juice drinking phase.
yeah, right. Like drink pineapple juice or orange juice in isolation and try to like imagine that with no sweetness kind of thing.
Yeah, that's so cool. So he was doing that with every single different kind of hop.
Yeah, pretty cool. So here's some other funny lawsuits. These are a little bit more funny because they're celebrities getting upset about small breweries using their name.
Nice.
Guns N' Roses, they sued Oscar Blues Brewing because they had a beer called Guns N' Rosé.
No way.
Seems totally different,
it's
but okay. Yeah. Kanye West, he sued Stillwater Artisan Ales, who, by the way, had already brewed multiple other beers as tributes to different rappers. I think one to Drake and someone else. And so they brewed a beer called We Miss the Old Kanye.
Brutal.
But it was it was in tribute to Kanye, and the label looked like his album cover, his Life of Pablo album cover.
Okay.
And so I guess that was the main thing he had an issue with, was that the likeness of his album cover was used as a label. So
I'm looking at the label right now. Yep, and it's oh, it's really good.
Yeah, so they got sued.
It says the brewery is no longer producing this beer.
Yeah, they stopped. Some other funny ones is Stone. They sued Keystone Light, which is kind of funny. This is the David versus Goliath. The little guy suing the big guy. But Keystone Light, they had this can art, this can label, and it was like the key was super small, and then the stone. So it was like key, and then under it was stone, like up along the whole length of the can in big letters. And Stone took issue with that. They were like, wait a second, we don't want anybody like grabbing that beer thinking they're getting a Stone Brewing beer. And ends up being Keystone Light.
They're going to ruin their brand.
That'd be the biggest disappointment ever.
Okay, actually, I'm looking at the picture of this one right now, and I 100% agree with Stone suing them. Because
it like takes up the whole can.
Yes. From one side, it legit looks like a Stone Brewing.
100%. Yeah, totally.
Wow. That is so funny. They're like, we do not want anyone drinking that under the guise that we made it.
I mean, we don't... it doesn't look like the regular Stone, what their cans and bottles look like usually. Yeah. But still, yeah, it's pretty ridiculous.
That is really funny.
I can see what Keystone Light was doing there.
It could have also just been it could have been totally unintentional.
Honest.
Yeah. But I don't know. Like, I could actually see you accidentally grabbing, if you were like rushing.
Oh yeah. You
could just accidentally grab a 6-pack of that, like, because it just looks like Stone. Yeah, that's funny. That's a good one.
There's another one where Lagunitas, they sued Sierra Nevada over it was like an IPA. And it just said IPA on the front, like in big letters, and whatever. Like Lagunitas had an issue with the font, saying it was too similar to their font, so they sued them. And when the lawsuit went public, everyone on Twitter just like started harassing them for like getting crazy over a stupid font. Like it just says IPA, and
so I'm looking at the picture of this one now. These are good bookends to like a good and bad lawsuit, in my opinion. Because I don't know how accurate this article, but they said the specific claim they're making is against Hop Hunter IPA.
Okay.
Which Sierra Nevada makes. But if you've ever seen that label, it has the Sierra Nevada like emblem, the gold emblem on the label. Like, no one's going to think that's Lagunitas. It has, like, the telltale sign of Sierra Nevada. And it looks like every other Sierra Nevada label. So there's, like, that gold emblem at the top. It's like a scroll. And then it has, like, the name of the beer. And then it has, like, the scroll at the bottom that will have, like, the tagline for the beer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the IPA technically is the same font. But there's, like, 1,000 other things happening on this bottle that, no way.
Yeah, so Lagunitas decided to drop that lawsuit after all the bad press they got.
Yeah, I would make fun of them for that, too. Also, what are you guys doing suing each other? Lagunitas and Sierra Nevada? Come on.
Yeah. I don't know. I wonder if this was after the purchase of Lagunitas by...
Oh, you might be right.
Heineken?
Yeah. Those big companies.
I can't remember who owns them. Is it Heineken? Yeah, and then they brew Newcastle now at Lagunitas. So weird.
That is so weird to me. Yeah, Heineken bought Lagunitas in 2 chunks.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they sold half and then...
I think we talked about this before on the podcast. I don't know. I think it was like $1 billion or whatever. I don't think the price is disclosed, but they sold 50% stake. So I said, do the thought experiment of like they transfer $500 million into your bank account, and then in a year you have the option to get another one, and you're like, yeah, remember when you did that? Do that again. I really don't care about this brewery anymore. I'm too busy on my private jet.
Oh, this beer is oily.
You're still drinking it, huh?
Still drinking it, yeah.
So you're going to finish it. So that's a thumb sideways, I think.
Yeah, like, it's not like I can't drink it. It's just I wouldn't drink it again.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, thumb sideways.
Yeah, there's just no point in like seeking that out again. Okay, so that is it for the fun lawsuits. The other thing I wanted to talk about today, because, we've been doing all these like deep dives and into these sort of OG breweries and stuff. I kind of had this thought like, oh, I wonder if there's any good documentaries on like the craft beer revolution or modern craft beer and that kind of stuff. So obviously there are, because there's tons of people who are more beer nerdy than me. So
and there's documentaries about everything. And I've watched most of them.
There's documentaries on a man befriending an octopus.
I've watched that one.
So
did you know there's a documentary about a font?
No.
Helvetica. It's a really good documentary.
Nice. Well, there are multiple documentaries about craft beer. There's one that's recent, came out last year, and it's called Brewmance. Ha 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 ha.
It's about us, Stephen.
Yeah. I think we have the new name for our podcast. We should have named our podcast Brewmance.
That would have been way better than Attenuation.
Oh man, I'm so sad. Okay,
start it over.
Yeah.
Episode 1.
But it's it got really good reviews. It's it's got Jim Koch and Sam Galagioni and Ken Grossman and Charlie Papazian and all the big names of like early craft beer and early home brewing and stuff. So that one I think is going to be definitely worth checking out. There is another one that I found called Beer Pioneers. That one actually is kind of crazy because they started filming it. The guy who made it, he started filming it in like 1995. Like he started making the documentary in 1995, and then he just like kept filming, and it's just been this like 25-year long project.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah. So it hasn't released yet. It's supposed to release, I think, later this year or early 2023.
What is it called?
Beer Pioneers.
I want to watch both of these.
Yeah, I'm excited about that one. There's a few, if you Google, there's actually one that's called Kings of Beer. It's from 2019, and it's all about the process of brewing Budweiser.
Okay.
Which is kind of cool, actually. Have you toured Budweiser's plant?
So that's funny. I never have. I haven't, and I'm really close to one of their super big plants. I've heard the tour is incredible.
That's what I've heard too, and I never did it. Always regret.
Well, because they're doing something. I should just go do it. It might not be available right now, but when things are totally back to normal, I'll go do it. I mean, they're really doing something incredible there. Not necessarily like making the best craft beer in the world, but their efficiencies.
Yeah.
Like, I think you do a rating. When you brew beer, there is some sort of rating on like how effective you converted the sugar to alcohol.
Yeah.
And, for like a home brewer, it's going to be in like the 60s or 70s.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm.
But I think Budweiser, it's like 90s, like 98 or 99% or something like that. So they've just like perfected brewing that style.
Right.
So I think that'd be in that way, it's incredibly impressive. But no, I haven't actually toured it, so I need to do that.
Yeah, I thought you had done it.
Sorry,
we should do that next time I'm out there.
Yeah, you should come, and we'll go to some good breweries. Oh, good. We'll go to some craft. Sorry, slipped of the tongue. We'll go to some craft breweries, and then we'll go check out Budweiser. But yeah, this documentary, Kings of Beer, is you can watch it on Amazon Prime, free with ads.
Free with ads?
Mm-hmm.
That's not free.
You're right, that's not free, but it's.
No money will be deducted from your bank.
Yes, exactly. Other than my Amazon Prime subscription.
Yeah. That's like gone up.
I don't even know. They really trap you into Amazon Prime.
Yeah, they do.
And it goes up every year, and like
they trap you into everything.
I know. I'm really trapped.
Yeah.
I can't complain.
I'm trapped into paying $10 a month for cloud storage on iTunes.
Everything is monthly subscription.
Because we take way too many pictures. Yeah. I'm trapped into Amazon Music because I have all, Echoes and Alexa devices in my house, and my kids just want to be able to walk up and say like, "Hey, Alexa, play Don't Talk About Bruno from Encanto,"
Oh man, that's all my wife listens to.
Really?
She loves that. She loves the soundtrack of that, but she loves that specific song.
Everybody does. It's the #1 song in the country.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Well, it's the magic of
Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the guy.
Everything he touches is gold, basically.
Gold. Yeah.
It's kind of ridiculous. What's funny is that it's like one of the first times that the big song from a movie is not like, like there's like Let It Go or Part of Your World. There's like big ballad songs, big like coming out songs, and Don't Talk About Bruno is like this whole cast song that like is very specific to the story.
What is the word for, they even say in Frozen, do you like a little exposition? Telling story with a song. Yeah. Exposition is the background information on the characters and setting explained at the beginning of the story.
Ah, okay.
The whole point of Don't Talk About Bruno is it's exposition about his character.
Yeah, but that's not usually the songs that become popular.
No, that's not usually what would become popular.
Yeah. Because if you're not actively watching the movie, you're like, wait, I don't get this song at all.
Yeah, what is this about? Yeah. Whereas like Let It Go, you can just listen to it and be like, yeah, I will let it go.
Yeah, it's kind of a like a general sort of feel good song. So anyway, it's interesting. That's a weird tangent to go off, but
we're deep in Tangentville, Steven. But we knew this was gonna happen.
So yeah, a few more other movies. There's one called Craft, the California beer documentary. It's all about the California craft beer revolution, which is obviously very important. There's another one called Beers of Joy.
Beers of Joy.
The puns run amok here.
Also free with ads.
So not free. It's actually pretty funny. We just got this antenna on my TV, just to get like live TV so I could like watch football on the weekends and stuff, which I don't know why I hadn't done that earlier, honestly, but it's really funny. And it's fun now with the Olympics too, because you can watch some Olympics like at nighttime.
Oh yeah.
But what's really funny is that my kids, they're so conditioned to like Netflix and all these streaming
on
services.
Demand.
And now there's ads, and it's so funny because my younger daughter, like, she loves the ads. She's like obsessed with the ads. Like, they're not like, to me they're a bother.
Yeah.
But to her they're like, oh, I never get to see ads for like kids' toys or like cereals or like she never gets to see that stuff. And that's
makes
like
sense.
Right? That's what they were made for. So she loves them.
Yeah,
and
she's the target demographic.
It's also pretty funny because she was like, there was one night that there was like 60 Minutes came on, and she was like enthralled by whatever story they were telling on 60 Minutes. So now every night at dinner, she's like, do you think 60 Minutes is
That is so funny.
It's awesome. Yeah.
Do they still have that stupid intro where it's like you can hear the watch ticking?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
There you go, yep.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
I know, it's pretty cool. So trying to introduce my kids to some nostalgia.
Yeah,
I'm like, you can't pause this, so you gotta go to the bathroom. You better do it.
Mm-hmm.
Better do it during the commercial break.
You gotta run in live. That is an unfortunate. We've definitely lost that. That's like when we were kids. If you wanted to watch like a Christmas Carol, and it wasn't like December, you weren't watching it unless you went and rented it at the store. But now I probably just push I can have that movie playing on my computer in like 7 keystrokes.
Yep. It's pretty amazing. I don't miss the Blockbuster though. That's
okay. Speaking of documentaries, you should.
There's the one about the last remaining Blockbuster.
It's so good.
Really?
You should watch
I
it.
gotta check that out.
Especially if it's like if you're our age or older. Like I think if your daughter watched it, it would.
Right, it would
like,
make sense.
This is so boring. Yeah. But if you remember Blockbuster, just the whole time you're watching it, you just remember like going and picking out the video, and oh man, you should watch it. It's a good documentary.
Okay, I gotta check that out.
And I'll definitely watch one of these documentaries before next week because that's one of my other pleasures in life is watching documentaries.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty excited. I think this Brewmance one will be really good.
Yeah, that one.
That one's $4 on YouTube. That one will empty. That will drain your bank account $4.
I can swing $4 for it.
Don't get your Starbucks coffee that day.
I don't drink Starbucks coffee. No latte.
I know you don't. That's why.
All right. Well, we've gone off the rails. Should we call it?
Yeah, let's call it. Wrap it up.
All right. Well, if you hated this episode, you can email us at contact.attenuation@gmail.com. Or if you have any good documentary recommendations, I want to hear them. And our Instagram, where we have over 100 followers. Do we still? Or did people leave?
It's right at 100 now. We were at like 101 at one point.
It could go to 99, and we're lying. But as of this recording...
It better not.
Stephen will be so sad, so don't leave.
Yeah, I created 3 fake accounts to get this to 100, so...
Don't let Instagram hear that. It's attenuation.podcast, and there's lots of good pictures of beer there, and all. There was even a meme the other day.
Yeah, I made the meme that you talked about. Isn't that awesome?
I saw that. It made my whole day.
I'm glad.
Thanks, buddy. All right, well, this is episode 47 of Attenuation, a beer podcast. My name is Jason, and I'm joined by my best friend since 8th grade, Stephen.
That's me.
And we are saying cheers, and we'll see you next week for episode 48.
All right, cheers, buddy.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Attenuation, a beer podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and follow us on Instagram or Facebook for more fun content. Catch you next week. Cheers!